Oh baby, you're too pure. You're too pure for this wicked world. Your data's uncorrupted, but does something skip inside you? That's what takes up time.
Hi there, welcome back to my hot kitchen. This week we're gonna tempt your sweetie with a sumptuous salmon topped with cream sauce and capers, delicious veggies, a cranberry and almond rice pilaf, and for dessert, you'll be serving up some tasty little cherry tarts. So the very first thing that you're gonna wanna do is get the dessert started. Tonight, I'm gonna be showing you how to make delicious little cherry tarts. And I'm gonna begin with a couple handfuls of dark cherries. I opted for the frozen ones because, well, it's in the middle of winter and good, sweet, dark cherries are hard to come by. I'm gonna zest a little bit of orange into it. And then, I'm gonna slice my orange in half. And then I'm gonna harvest the juice of about half of this orange. I'm gonna use a little juicer here and squeeze out as much of the juice as I can. That looks good right there. And then I'm gonna take that juice and pour it into the cherries. Then I'm gonna clear off a little space for myself here. And then I'm going to mix about 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch and 1/8 cup of granulated sugar into the cherries. And then I'm going to stir these and blend it all together. Stirring it until I see that the cornstarch has completely dissolved. That looks well mixed to me. I'm gonna set that aside. And now it's time to roll out the puff pastry. So a good rule of thumb with puff pastry is to always sprinkle a little flour on the surface you're gonna be rolling it out on to keep it from sticking. And to make sure that your puff pastry is completely defrosted and is at room temperature. So gently fold it out onto your floured surface. Use your fingers to gently finesse it open if you must. And then just roll it out till it's a nice uniform square shape. Shouldn't take more than a couple passes. And then the next thing that you're gonna do is cut it into 4s. I figure that 2 of these good little tarts each is probably sufficient. Because again, who wants to be weighed down on a nice romantic evening? And then take these guys and put them in an ample sized pan. I have this cute little heart-shaped pan here that I'm using. And sort of squish them into the wells. If your puff pastry is at room temperature, this should be really easy, and it shouldn't tear at all. And then trim around the edges so that each little crust fits well into its little well. All right, 1 down, 3 to go. Look at that. I have made 4 little heart-shaped tarts. These are gonna taste really good. One more go around here just to make sure they're squished in just right. And then I'm going to top it off with the cherries, dividing it equally between the 4 parts. Get in there. Add a little bit of the reserve juice to each one. This is just going to help it to be full and beautiful as it bakes. And then garnish them with a little bit of shaved dark chocolate. This is going to add that extra bit of richness and romance into the cherry tart. gonna taste amazing. And now these are ready to go in the oven. These will need to bake at 375 degrees, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, or until the mixture becomes bubbly and the puff pastry is browned and golden. Alrighty, so with the cherry tarts in the oven, it's time to get the rice pilaf going. It's just gonna be a classic rice pilaf. And you're gonna wanna start with a hot pan and olive oil in your hot pan. And then you're gonna add onions. Give it a little start and a little sizzle there. Yummy. And add the garlic, a couple cloves, coarsely chopped is what I'm doing here, and about 1/8 of a cup of sliced almonds. Give that a little saute here. And I'm just going to take this until the onions barely start to turn a little translucent. Then I'm going to go ahead and add in my jasmine rice, 3/4 of a cup. Stir that around in there and make sure that each grain of rice gets coated with the olive oil and the flavors of the onions and the garlic and the almonds. Delicious. Keep it moving around the pan so that the garlic and the rice don't burn, and so that all the almonds get a little bit toasted. And when you start to see some of the kernels sort of puff up and turn white, that's when you're going to want to add a couple tablespoons of chicken stock and about 1 3/4 cup of water. And a nice big handful of dried cranberries. Finish it off with some pepper and a generous amount of garlic salt. So we'll round out the flavors and make it delicious. You can be pretty generous with the salt because you're using olive oil as your base, which of course contains no salt. Put a lid on it, and then bring it up to a boil and then drop it down to a nice low simmer. It's probably gonna take about 20 minutes for that rice to become tender and done. Let's go check and see how those little cherry tartlets are doing. Oh, those look good. They're all bubbly all the way through, even in the middle. Just gonna pull them off here and let them cool down as I cook the rest of the dinner. So I'm gonna get the broccoli started now, because if you treat the broccoli right, it can hold for a really long time. I'm just gonna do a simple little saute. So I'm adding olive oil to my hot saute pan, and I have about 1/4 of an onion here that I've sliced up. Drop that into the hot oil and give it a little toss here just to make sure it's all coated and yummy. And to that, go ahead and add the broccoli and a couple of nice big fat sliced up cremini mushrooms. All right, season it up with a little bit of garlic salt. And then toss it a couple more times just to mix that all in. And then add about 1 ounce of white wine. Quickly put a lid on it, let it bubble for about a minute or two, and then take it off the heat, let it finish all by itself. Alrighty. Now it's time to get the salmon in the oven. So I suggest keeping the seasonings really simple on the salmon. I always like a little lemon juice on there because it helps to kill the germs and enhance the flavor of the fish. And playing the role of the salt on the salmon is going to be a couple drops of soy sauce. Sometimes I like to use soy sauce instead of just regular old salt because it also adds a lot of flavor to it. And playing the role of pepper will be some chili flake. So we're going to top it off with a nice rich cream sauce so you really won't notice the fire. This is ready to bake in the oven. And I've got my oven again preheated to 375 degrees. And I'm guessing that fillets that size are going to take about 15 minutes to bake. And now it's time to get the sauce going that's going to decorate the salmon. We're just going to whip up a real simple cream sauce here. Half cup of milk, a tablespoon of cornstarch, the zest of 1 lemon. It's actually the same lemon that I used the juice from for the salmon. And then, just for fun, a little dollop of horseradish. Whisk it all together while it's still cold. You want to whisk in the cornstarch when the milk is still cold, or else it will lump up and your sauce will not be thick. Once you've got it all whisked together, you can turn on the heat to a nice medium-low temperature and wait for it to come up to a boil. And then finish off with a little bit of garlic salt. Whisk that in. And then leave it alone until it just barely starts to bubble. That looks pretty good right there. I'm going to give that a little whisk. And once I can see that the sauce is thickened up to the point where I like it, I'm going to give it a little taste. Exquisite. And then I'm going to take it off the heat so it doesn't cook any more than it needs to. And hey, I've got a couple minutes before the salmon comes out of the oven, so I want to show you what the dessert's going to look like when it's all done. You can have it right after dinner, or you can have it later when you need a little bit more energy for your evening. All you want to do is just top it off with some pretty little whipped cream. And voila! The salmon's done now, so I'm going to set myself up here to plate this. Pull this beautiful looking salmon out of the oven. Doesn't that look good? So now I'm going to put the rice on the plate, giving it a little fluff just before I put it on the plate. Look at those beautiful cranberries and almonds. Don't those look good? Cranberries and almonds are going to be an excellent accompaniment to the salmon. In come the salmon fillets. And then the broccoli. I'm just going to scoot these guys in right here next to the salmon and the rice. Delicious. And then top it off with the beautiful and exquisite sauce that you made. Just a little drizzle over the salmon. A couple little drops on the rice. And then garnish with a few capers. These are ready to go on the table. Look at you, you just made a delicious dinner for your sweetie that could come out of any 5-star restaurant. That's pretty good. Now pair this up with a nice Pinot Noir and call in your sweetie. The apron is not invited to dinner. Where is my sugar?
It smells good in here. Here I am.
Hi.
Wow, look at you. I don't need this at the table. Gorgeous. Wow, this looks delicious. Oh, good have a bite. This is such a hot kitchen. Yummy.
So thanks for joining me in my hot kitchen again tonight. Have fun turning up the heat in your kitchen, and I'll see you next week. Night night.
You're too pure for this wicked world. Your data's uncorrupted, but does something skip inside you? That's what takes up time in your life. Add the sum of the slides, and sooner or later love comes inside you, gets behind you, takes you under its wings.